We're back. Equal Time is live again. Soccer summer is dense, and today we've got a morning game. It's earlier for my host Liz, 7:30 on the West Coast. Liz, it's playoff morning game day. How are you feeling?
We're super pumped. We felt like we should have won our last game, which went to PKs. But I'm going to be just like super biased. We were the better team. We just could not get the ball in the back of the net. And Nighthawk's goalkeeper is so freaking good.
Mhm.
So we really want to like go win this game, show that we're like, this is who we are, and keep going on and whatnot.
Yeah. So talking about Cal Storm is the team we're referencing that Liz is a part of. So they made it. So they must have made it as the wild card. But yeah,
Yeah.
they're in the playoffs. In the
Yeah.
West, I mean, and one thing I wanted to ask, because we talked to Kaya Harper of Salvo 2 days ago, and one thing she mentioned, and we're kind of seeing in all the summer leagues, is like college seasons are coming up. So I'm wondering from your perspective out there for your club, how does that look for you in terms of like depth and players potentially needing to leave, or not being able to stay for the whole playoff run? How much are you thinking about that?
So it's definitely like a concern, but also we're really fortunate that we have also some really amazing post grad players who
Mm-hmm.
are like post their playing career.
Mm-hmm.
But we are supplemented by a lot of players who, like for instance, our Stanford contingent. We
Mm-hmm.
have four, and we actually played most of the season without them. So we're pretty like capable, but they add like an extra umph, and we really love having them there anyway. For instance, they may not be able to make it today. I haven't checked on that. They
Mm-hmm.
are working at a camp. And then every weekend gets dicier and dicier
Yeah.
for players. I'm trying to think. I mean, we have a lot of UC Davis players who are like right in our backyard, so you're not worried about them. But as
Mm-hmm.
for players leaving, we are not worried about that as
Cool.
much as we
Nice.
can see. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I know, and we'll talk a little bit more about Salvo after just going through some of the details of the tournament. But yeah, they mentioned that like there could, if it goes into next weekend, or then it becomes a little trickier in terms of
Yeah.
holding, because some programs it's certainly by August, but you see teams kind of posting about players even training. I feel like some places already. I don't know, but
Mhm.
yeah, and I just want to say, Liz, the other teams in the West semifinal. SC Del Sol, San Francisco Nighthawks, and Miss Kick FC. It's cooler names out there, man. Those are cooler team names. Salvo's cool. I don't know what the word Salvo means, but it's fine, and their club logo is really cool. But overall,
Yeah. I know, and some of them are pretty old. Like California Storm, used to be Sacramento Storm, and like Nighthawks are like 25 years old.
yeah.
Miss Kick is fairly new, is like a year old, but I'm always just like Miss Kick. Like, did we think about that, or like Miss Kick? I think that I know they had to have. I'm just like,
Well, it's like there's a team here. There's a men's team in Austin, Minnesota, which is a small community that has a lot of immigrant population. So it's cool. They started the UPSL team, and they're called Austin Villa, like Austin Villa, like Aston Villa. So it's impossible to Google, because if you Google Austin, you cannot get that. It'll take a while to build that Google search traffic for them.
yeah,
Yeah, but the details of the playoffs are separated in four regions, so 16 teams total. The West is in San Francisco, which is pretty close for Storm, playing closer to home in a cool Keyworth Stadium, which is cool and historic. South region's in Miami, Central region is in Denver, and the East is in Trenton. So I mean, the Central region is really the most spread out. It has teams from Ohio over to Utah, so it's definitely like these teams are like have to travel the furthest for sure. And the championship then will be in Oklahoma City, which is because I think the WPSL is from Oklahoma City.
mhm.
But yeah, I want to say the winner plays for the Jerry Zanelli Cup, which is a great name. And I didn't realize, Liz, do you know who Jerry Zanelli is? I'm not trying to put you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He was our founder and owner. I never got to meet him,
yeah,
but yeah, that's I actually didn't remember that they named it that
yeah.
recently,
I think it
or
was last couple of years maybe they did that. But the craziest thing I wanted to ask you about this, like I noticed this when I saw the schedule, that today's the regional play, like today and tomorrow, is all games 24 hours back to back. So
Yeah.
these teams, so specifically like your teams in the evening, this is even weirder to be for our teams, I feel like, because Salvo and the other teams are playing at 9 a.m. Mountain Time 2 days in a row. That's just wild.
Yeah. So you guys are all playing like at 9 a.m. Like you're not
They're,
staggering it.
well, the earliest team, this game is 9 a.m. and then the next team plays at 12, and then tomorrow the next game will be at 9 a.m. So technically, the one semifinalist will have played 21 hours before, or so that's wild. And then just the teams from Minnesota are going to altitude, which makes a difference. I mean, I don't know. Have you been to altitude? When I've gone to altitude, it messes me up.
Yeah, I would not be able. You have to train for that specifically.
Yeah. So that 24-hour turnaround with the teams, like Salvo's traveling 16 as well, is what they said. So, it's still pretty tight. Most of them will be playing, a lot of minutes. So subs will come into play. But yeah.
Did they take a bus?
I believe they did, but they were trying to. There's one player, Meredith Hawkinson, who is really good standout defensive midfielder, I think, or center mid for Michigan, who made it to like the Final Four last year. And they were Kaya Harper. I don't know if it was like she said on the podcast, like she said they were trying to get a flight to fly her out just for the games. And but I don't know if I guess it's up to the Michigan coaching staff. So, but she's a really big player, so at least she would have been flying. But maybe that's because it's Michigan. It's a drive from Minnesota. It's something like 18 hours, or it's a long. So I don't know what they're doing. But yeah, that'd be tough. But yeah, it was nice to talk to Kaya Harper. Yeah, do you want to learn a little more about Salvo and their run?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So they're in really good form. They're undefeated, 8 games, 8 wins. One of the biggest challenge they had was playing Minnesota Thunder Academy, which so they beat them 3-1. Minnesota Thunder was the second closest team. All the other games, they ended the year with a lot of games with 3, 4, 5 goals. So yeah, it's kind of looking across the standings. It's like that. Most of the divisions have a team that's really stood out. And then like now we see how they face when they play. It's such a big jump in the level of play.
So who are like some of like I know you already mentioned like a DM, but like what are some of the players to watch out who are going to be there this weekend?
Yeah, there's a couple of trends on the Salvo roster, and one of the funny trends is, in terms of local things here in Minnesota, is a lot of their players grew up playing youth for Minnesota Thunder, who's you would say their rival in the WPSL, but at the time the Thunder did not have a team. So when they actually added it, Kaya Harper shared that with me, that a lot of those players just stayed. So there's a lot of people who played together in youth at that club, and then all the people who played at Salvo. And then the other huge trend of notice is just the amount of Gophers on the team. So of course the league only allows 5 current members of the team. But in this case, the Gophers have 2 former Gophers and a couple of incoming commits. So that's a really unique thing to be able to have that much kind of continuity. So a lot of depth, and yeah, that's what we notice most, because there's a lot of Gophers who've equal time people will have seen a lot of these players interviewed over the last years if you do a quick Google.
Heck yeah. So what is Salvo? What are they facing? Do they need to figure out some roster adjustments? Anyone that they're definitely like missing?
No, I think for the most part, it feels like they have a lot of their team. I think maybe it's just Meredith Hawkinson who'd be the one who might not be there, but big standouts. They have like Molly Fiedler and Emily Heslin. They're Gopher alum who they both graduated in 2018 and were a part of a Gopher team that made like 3 NCAA tournaments in 4 years. And both of them played pro. Fiedler in Serbia, playing in like Champions League qualification games, and then Heslin in Israel. Both of them were kind of derailed from COVID, canceling the seasons. And so I'd imagine, at least I'm pretty sure Fiedler and perhaps Heslin too, like this is their chance to get in rhythm and perhaps find something, in the professional game again. So it'll be fun to see them. And then of course, Kaya Harper, I interviewed, had 12 goals this year. She's just on fire, and she only scored 1 goal in her freshman year at Minnesota. So this is really, an explosion for her. So, the Gopher team must be, happy seeing that she's in this type of form for sure.
Well, I like that they actually, pay attention to their local, like their WPSL teams that their players are on.
Mhm.
I don't see like a lot of universities doing that.
Yeah, well, and I mean, I think it's nice to see on Twitter, and we'll see that, where we can see that. Yeah, Salvo does a good job, by the way. I mean, this year, credit to them, and credit to them too. They're a Patreon supporter of Equal Time, so they're one of the people who support and actually get it. So they have been creating great content all year. So especially for their team, they make graphics that we've been able to share. They make interview videos after games, and so when I am trying to decide what to cover on Equal Time, it's like you have to prioritize, and they made it really easy. So credit to them. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Well, before we like switch over to game time, just tell us a little bit about Colorado Rapids. That's Salvo's opponent, and then they're also the Mountain Conference champions.
Yeah. Like you said, that's the central region. They're traveling all the way to teams that are playing in Utah and Colorado. The Rapids women, they are a really good defensive team, similar to Salvo. Like Salvo gave up 4 goals, I think, in 8 games. The Rapids women gave up 3, so stout defense. They have a really balanced, not like super high scoring attack. They don't have someone like Kaya with 12 goals. They have a couple players with 4, a couple with 2. So really spread out, which can be a benefit. You don't have to count on, like, if Kaya doesn't score, who else will. But a couple players they have, Kelly Francis and Abby Gerhardt, are at Bucknell. Alicia Garcia is an LSU player. They're one of their keepers. Their keepers are from Pepperdine and Wake Forest, Mia Robin and Ellie. So similar to what you see in a lot of the successful WPSL teams, they have a lot of good D1 talent. And then I do want to shout out, they have one really young player. Salvo has a couple academy level players as well, like age, but Lexi Meyer is a really young player who's a junior in high school, who's playing for Colorado Rapids women. So it's always cool to see. I love the combination of former pros and teenagers getting to play together. It's what makes the league fun.
Yeah, I love that. That's what I really enjoy about this league. That's they've been around for a really long time. You can obviously tell that they've been doing something right.
Yeah.
Last minute, I guess we got to talk about the other two. Kansas City Current 2, a lot of people may be familiar with them if they're NWSL fans, and Indios Denver. Their semi game. Current reserves scored 47 goals and gave up 1 in 7 games. So they're kind of good, I guess.
It's kind of, well, and that's with the league being so big, it's like there are enough pockets where I think there's a bit more variety and quality with the teams, because it's there's just a lot of different regions with different strengths of players. So that's where you say, how do you assess how good they are when they're winning that big? I mean, it's just so, and also when they face a better team, so who knows? You would think they would be the other opponent going through, but
you never know. Yeah, they could be like the FC Barcelona women who just have not really had a lot of competition, and then they crumple.
Good point.
We'll see what they do, stiffer competition then.
Yeah. Thanks for joining, Liz. We're going to hop on. It's funny. It's kind of like watching European soccer in the mornings that we have a game at 10 a.m. Central Time. But we're going to tune in, get to the stream, and appreciate you joining, Liz. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.